the comments, and yeah, I don't think this is or how should I put it? I think he misunderstood it a bit, and of course we should ship those bug fixes, but I also talked to Nicholas, and we want to include some of the other recent updates that contribute to fixing bugs. For instance, Nicholas has been working on the Core Lightning stuff quite a bit, and yeah, this also enhances the situation for some users out there. And the PRs I noted in my comment are mostly bug fix PRs. So once we get them reviewed, we should be good to ship this as a mix of bug fixes and enhancements.
Sounds good. There's also one more thing that Nicholas has been toying with. Like we merged some of the wallet object stuff already in master, and we can't release until we fix some stuff around it because we're still debating on some of the design of the code around that stuff. But it should be relatively easy to fix up.
Yeah, and it's not like we have to ship 1.7.2 tomorrow or so.
Okay, that's good. There's nothing critical, right? So
I think the only thing that might be good to get out there sooner than later is the Lightning payout stuff.
Yes, yeah, that's merged already as well. I also just pushed the release of the LN URL package that fixes some NFC bug that I forgot which one was it. Basically, it's the one. Yeah, it's the 4393. I just need to bump the package on the NFC plugin and on BTCPay, and that should start working. Yeah, I mean, I don't know what else we need to really push for. Yeah, go ahead.
Quick question. We already released Core Lightning, the new version in the Docker repository. Are we expected to see any problems with not having the updates for BTCPay Server released yet for Core Lightning?
Supposedly not, right? I mean,
I think Nicholas thought about that.
Hopefully.
Yeah, I think he tested it already, I think, as far as I know, because we were testing out some stuff around LN URL because C Lightning broke some stuff for us. So I had to bug Fiat Jeff to release a new version of his invoice description hash plugin for Core Lightning. So we bundled that up again. So that was fixed. I'm curious about 4399. Like, it sounds like that would, without that one, it would break everything, but maybe it's okay. I don't know.
That's a bug report, and Nicholas took care of that.
Okay. Yeah, it's the allow deprecated APIs equals true flag, right? Or
right. Yeah, he took care so that it works with that flag being set either way.
Okay. And also, I think Nicholas also worked on removing the need for the invoice description hash plugin later on.
Yes.
So that's cool as well. But we have a fallback to it depending on which version you're using of Core Lightning and all these things. It's a bit tricky with these things actually because our versioning and dependency minimum stuff is not really all hardwired to work based on the version detection and whatnot. So we have to just try something. If it fails, we use another method. But I guess it's the best we can do for now. What about I've seen some reports around LN Bank, like some payments not being detected or being settled. Is that something you need to look into, Dennis? Or
yeah, that's basically a very old issue where I couldn't really debug it until now, even though many people reported it, and it seems like at some point the invoice watcher stops to work. It doesn't even quit with a message in the logs. I placed logging calls everywhere, but yeah, it might get stuck somewhere and just doesn't continue processing any new invoices anymore. But once people restart the server, then it starts working again, and it also starts to process the invoices that have piled up until then. Nevertheless, this is very annoying, and to be honest, you can't really use LN Bank in production until this is fixed. I have a bit of hope that the recent Lightning updates might have helped there, because we are dealing with timeouts now in the library. But yeah, we'll have to see once I put out a new version of LN Bank.
Okay. Fair enough. Yeah, makes sense. For regarding the invoice watcher stopping, and you could the invoice watcher is the one inside LN Bank directly, right? It's a hosted service.
Yes.
Have you tried just wrapping the whole start and stop? No, the start in a try catch.
Yes, it's
still no go.
Yeah, basically everything is wrapped inside try catch, and I should also see errors being logged once one of those exceptions hits. But yeah, I don't see any logs in that case. I'm not sure. Is ASP.NET supposed to restart those background services once they exit, or
no? Those services are kind of they don't have a restart cycle, but like in BTCPay, we have a bunch of hosted services, and some of them we have a base class inside BTCPay somewhere. I forgot what it's called. Let me see what it's called. I think it's we have a base async service where you basically provided tasks that you want to keep running, and as soon as any of those tasks fail or end, it starts it over again, and then it just puts a log in the console or something in the logs.
Yeah. Okay. Maybe after the call we can take a more, or during the next days, we can take a more detailed look at that, because I don't really know how to approach it from here.
Sure. Yeah, sure. No problem. We can do that. What else is there to do? We have a lot of pull requests open again. Never ends. But none of these are as important, right? I guess. Maybe we should just do a release with cherry picking some of the bugs and putting them out there.
As I compiled the changelog, to me it seemed like we have mostly bug fixes in there. There's the wallet labeling stuff, or label scripts, or wallet object scripts in there. But other than that, I think it's mostly bug fixes, and there's not that much already. As you said, there are some PRs which could be reviewed and merged. But I'm fine, or I'd be fine with releasing master, or maybe taking out the wallet object script stuff.
Yeah, potentially that would probably be the right thing to do. It's just we wanted to try and keep the Christmas month quiet. Fuck it, who cares? We release it all. I don't know. I don't think we need to merge any of the Greenfield API additions, at least, or unless you need them for LN Bank, like the payments list endpoint.
No, I don't think so. But there's one PR I did, which is about where is it? Let me go into the changelog again. This one, the output descriptor parsing fix. this would be good to include.
Okay. Yeah,
I talked about it with Nicolas already and added a test as he wanted, but I think he just needs to. Or I just saw it's merged already, so
yeah.
we're good then.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, we shouldn't rush it, I guess, for this release. Let's see it when we feel comfortable. I mean, we could probably give it another week just to make sure we don't just add random stuff. The bugs that are in there are kind of minimal, I would say. Like, there's nothing is stopping the UI and services in the background, right? Like the NFC payment stuff, for example, is only like for an edge case of 1 or 2 cards probably that have a malformed, not even malformed, it's just a bug from the Elden URL lib, and I'll fix that soon.
So if we're hitting NFC anyway, do we have a fix for the double pickup on Android devices where it picks up the NFC card twice because people hold the card close to the reader and we don't open up the NFC connection for really long? So it reads it twice, and Android does a Android NFC tag collector.
Yeah, we can't do anything about that, unfortunately.
Why not?
It's not possible because you can only activate the NFC stuff on the browser through direct interactivity with an HTML element by the user, and once something gets scanned, that interactivity is kind of shut down, or the controller times out or something, and then we have no access to it anymore, and we can't do anything. So then the OS takes over instead of the browser, and when we can't tell the OS to not accept any NFC scanning that it does, continuously in the background. So we're kind of screwed there.
Can't we open it up twice? So
No, we
basically
can't.
that we read it for a second time ourselves?
No, we can't do that. We have to. The only way that would work is if we tell the user to click the button over and over himself somehow, because that's the only way we can activate the NFC feature inside the browser.
Only by user activity, so the user has to click it. It's not that after he clicked it once, we can just call it twice.
Nope.
Okay.
It's very restrictive all the way through.
Do you have the option to set a timer on it, on how long it's listening?
Yeah, we do. So it's set there as far as I can tell, but as soon as something gets scanned, then it dies,
Okay.
So we can't do much about it. Like, the spec is so limited that it's like I can't even think of anything we can do to make it nicer.
Can we maybe have a little brainstorm session at some point to do this? Because I do think that there is a fix. There should be a fix, because how else are other apps doing this through the web browser without getting the tag collection?
There's not that many apps doing it, I think. As far as I know, if you have a native app, you're fine, you're safe. Or if you have a React Native app, that kind of stuff works. But browser context-wise, you're screwed.
Okay.
But sure, I mean, we can. If you find any good examples of how to make this work, I would love to optimize it so we can make it better. Because right now it kind of sucks. It's kind of very restrictive. We can't do much. It only works on 2 browsers, so Chrome and Edge, as far as I know.
Yeah. And it's very finicky with tapping it. I mean, tap it once and hold it there for like a minute, and all of a sudden your browser is gone, and you get some weird stuff in your screen. But yeah, let's do that. Cool. Thank you.
Yeah. We actually wanted to potentially move the NFC plugin inside BTCPay directly. One concern with that would be right now the NFC plugin always shows the NFC option on the checkouts. I don't know if there's any objections to how it works right now, if it would be a permanent thing, and if people are okay with that. I still have to integrate it at least with the new checkout V2. I don't know.
think it makes sense to have it in core.
Yeah,
Because
maybe
this
make
is a
it.
really common use case, I guess, for POS if it's more widespread. So
Yeah. Maybe if we make it behind the flag, like an opt-in thing as well.
Maybe once we make a native app, then
I mean, with a native app, we don't even want to ask the user about anything. Like, we just have it there in the background. As soon as somebody puts a card against the phone or device, just start the flow. But until then, it's you still have to show a shitty button, hope the user clicks it before they put the card there, and then you're screwed otherwise. Okay. Anyway, anything else? I know Pav only wants a bug release kind of thing going, but are there any real big bugs to fix?
So he gave me a list of a lot of issues to look through and see if we maybe have a couple of them that we say, okay, we can do something about it. 4264 Shopify multi-currency issue. It's already on your name apparently, Cooks.
Oh, fucking Shopify.
Or at least he gave it to you. At least on my list, he says at Cooks. So,
Fuck. Let's see. Well, that's probably just a rates conversion not being available or something. That's exactly what I said. Okay.
yeah, his last comment is also no, unfortunately, it's still an issue. That's why he asked. Blah blah blah. So it's still there.
Okay. So basically, if it's not set to euro, something fails somehow.
But that's one. Then
Okay.
I also have 1183, also Shopify.
Ugh. Invoice page is not shown for new apps where custom payments are not checked. This is kind of like if BTCPay Server is down, it's like we can't do much.
Yeah, I see Indeed responded to this as well, but these are just the ones that are still open and that we kind of, at some point need to wipe out. So that's why they're on the list.
yeah, so if Shopify does not provide any placeholder or something like you can put there in case BTCPay is not reachable, we can't do anything. So
yeah, it's.
But I'm not sure if there is anything. So I think the payment provider services are expected to be up. So
yeah, it's basically, if I remember correctly, it's a static HTML that you put in there.
Okay.
Or is it not? No, what we do is we load the JavaScript file from BTCPay into, like, I don't even know how. Yeah, we can't do anything honestly about this because the way we kind of hacked Shopify support for BTCPay is basically you just tell it to show an HTML box for a manual payment method, and the HTML box loads some JavaScript from BTCPay. If BTCPay is down, then it won't show the Java. It won't load the JavaScript, so it won't show the button, and we aren't able to show. We aren't able to show anything else otherwise. I don't know if there's any other option for it. I'll have to start another Shopify shop demo account to try this out, I guess.
If you're doing the other Shopify anyway, could you take this one into consideration too, Cooks?
I'll try. Yeah.
Maybe you can write something there so it's not
Yeah.
loaded or something, and then when
and hide it
succeeds
gracefully.
to load, then replace it with the button or something like that. Yeah.
Awesome.
Oh fuck! I hate Shopify. Oh man. Okay.
This one is, I suppose, more for Nicholas, but I guess we're just gonna chuck it in. Add a subtract fees from amount requested body parameter to the Greenfield API. 4227.
Oh, you're in the doc repo.
You can just click the link too, Dennis.
This is for the payouts. This is super hard to do actually because we batch payouts with we batch the payouts sometimes, so the fee is hard to really subtract it in advance. But what we could do is when we create a refund, we do like a best guess approach, and the amount that gets added to. Oh fuck, that's tricky. So the whole thing here is basically, imagine that you just paid an invoice of 1 Bitcoin, and now you want to refund this 1 Bitcoin to the customer. It will generate a pull payment of 1 Bitcoin that the customer can withdraw from you. The issue there is now you're losing money because you're paying for the transaction that sends the 1 Bitcoin back to the customer. So the ideal thing here is to have an option or some way to say, show the pull payment of 1 Bitcoin minus the fees it takes to send it over. So the easiest thing would be to make it so that the pull payment is not 1 Bitcoin of withdrawable amount, but to make it 1 Bitcoin minus, I don't know, let's say a static amount of sats. Let's say you can set 2k sats or 3k sats or 4k sats, whatever. Now the issue here is if the invoice is in a different currency. Let's say you have an invoice of $1,000. The user paid the $1,000 in Bitcoin on chain or Lightning or whatever. Let's say on chain. So now the user has a pull payment of $1,000 that they can withdraw. How do you deduct it in advance? You can deduct $5 in advance, but the rate of Bitcoin changes so much that might be, you might rip him off, or he'll save money on the fee, depending on the fee market at that moment in time.
Wouldn't it be easiest to always show the exact amount, but in the background deduct the fees dynamically when sending out the payment?
No, not that easy, because we detect the payment to a payout separate from the process of sending the Bitcoin transaction. So, like, if you send a Bitcoin transaction from your wallet to it, then the NB Explorer listener service will detect the transaction, and it will say, "Oh, the address it just paid to is one of our payouts." So it will mark it and everything and say, okay, because it detects it by looking at the address and the amount. And if the amount is different, because now we deducted some for the fee, then it won't match. Oh man. What did Nicholas say under there? I can see that he has a comment. Yeah, exactly what I'm saying. But this his suggestion doesn't really do much. So we can, I would say that we can add an option inside inside the create refund page to add a processing fee there, and then it will deduct it from the pull payments amounts. At least that's the easiest thing I can think of that won't require a lot of hard guessing and all sorts of crazy stuff. I don't know if you guys agree with that or not. We can add like a little slider maybe, or a text box saying add a fee in the currency you're refunding in.
I haven't looked at it enough to have a good opinion, but this doesn't sound to me like we'll include a fix for it.
No, it's not a small.
It's not even a fix anyway. It's an improvement. So.
All right. Then on my little list that he gave me, there's a couple of more. What is that?
Can I make one more suggestion to the last issue? Could we maybe include an option to deduct the recommended fee that we got from something like the mempool API or so? Because we don't have this in our. I don't think we can calculate the recommended fee ourselves, or can we?
We can't, because we can't do it because a refund won't be paid. A refund may be paid in like
to you later time.
Yeah, later time, and you may also pay 20 refunds in one go. In which case, it would be a lot cheaper to actually do that refund for this customer. But and the mempool thing is super dynamic, so we can't really just take a fee and then do it at that moment. I think the easiest thing here would be to just add an extra checkbox that enables a custom processing fee in the create refund UI.
Yeah, gotcha.
The question I have is this really common to subtract a fee when you do a refund? Because I assume that I get the same amount back.
Yeah, you would assume that, but I mean, in credit card processing, of course, the user always gets the full refund back.
Yeah.
But in Bitcoin, you get screwed over with the cost there. I don't know how credit card processing companies handle it. Does a merchant still lose money when somebody pays through credit card to them and then they have to refund them back everything?
Now maybe
PayPal,
that's covered with the initial fee of the. Yeah.
Do they lose money?
As a PayPal merchant, you would lose money. You would have to pay the processing fee and the flat fee. I think those 35 cents plus the
Oh shit! So you actually pay the full amount of processing and then you have to send it back to the user.
Yeah, it really sucks.
Yeah, but I mean, it's kind of
kind of business risk or not, or I don't know.
It's the business model to suck. Okay, got it.
Yeah.
maybe what we could do is we can if you add a processing fee, maybe we could somehow show it inside the pool payment, so that the user is aware that they won't get the full money back.
Yeah.
Maybe make it configurable.
Yeah.
1% processing fee for refunds or something like that.
Yeah, I was thinking of doing it like a custom text box on the create refund UI. But we could also make it configurable like that. Because if you send the refund back on Lightning, I mean, okay, you lose 100 sats, so what, kind of thing. But maybe it's also a good thing that you charge something more dynamic so that people don't keep fucking you over with, oh, I have to go refund this customer now and create this tedious work kind of stuff. So maybe it's not just actual processing fees that you're incurring, but also wasting your time.
I mean, it could be 2 processing fees, one for on-chain and one for off-chain, if you want to be really fair about it. But, yeah.
I mean, the refund UI usually creates the pool payment in one payment method. So I guess it's up to when you're creating the refund yourself, you decide that you already picked the payment method on that point. So you can just leave it at 0, or if you're doing on-chain, maybe just put it a few thousand sats or something. Okay, next up.
Best solution, don't have refunds. Okay.
Next up is Dennis was already looking into it. The Binance rate provider that every time breaks, that it doesn't show anything.
Yeah, I looked at this once and they said it's fixed and they published a release, but somehow it doesn't seem to be included in the release, or it wasn't actually fixed. Yeah, I sent a comment asking them to maybe double check and do another release.
Yeah,
we can probably fix it on our end, most likely, because I've had to do patches for Exchange Sharp on, like, for Kraken as well. I don't know, Binance. Do we have an actual rate provider for it, or is it just
No, it has an actual rate provider. But this also happens to CoinGecko once every other day. I think ndeet and I spoke about this once a little bit as well, about this topic, and maybe we should think about hard coding a secondary rate provider in the background, so that there is always a available rate provider somewhere, that if the set preferred option by user, so we don't take away the option for the CoinGecko or Binance or whatever you want to set it to, but at least that there is a fallback in the background, what the user does not have to set or care about, but that it at least always has an option to read something,
It's just you have to look at it as kind of a preference is one, fail critically where you won't create an invoice, or two, show a completely different rate and potentially get screwed over. Because I mean, most people will stick with the default and they don't care. But what if one user is actually using, for example, Kraken, and then all of a sudden it changes from Kraken to, I don't know, Bitcoin.com or something like that, and it's like, okay, maybe there's a 10% spread now difference. So whenever they try to settle their fiat bills, they get screwed over because it's completely different rates that you were charging. So that's one implication. That's actually why Nicholas didn't want to add it in the first place. Having said that, I kind of like being able to set a fallback.
It's coming back quite a lot, especially because a lot of people just pick CoinGecko, I feel like, as a standard.
Yeah.
And it seems that the thing gets overloaded quite a lot, and it just straight up doesn't work. And we get a lot of people in our chats like, hey, why doesn't it work? And
we can...
Yeah.
I think we can add it in, because we have... So right now we have this the script rate script system. Maybe we can add in the fallback in there, and then users can actually enable it or not enable it at all if they're so worried about spreads.
Yeah, maybe give it as an option, as in, hey, do you want a fallback option for your rate provider? You can click this button, have fun.
Yeah, I mean,
go ahead and set up rate scripting rules. Have fun.
I don't know if you've ever used the rate scripting engine that Nicholas wrote, but it's kind of crazy. So I don't think users will want to play with it.
There's an O'Reilly book on it.
There should be. It's fucked up. Like, you can actually create a whole script settling engine inside the backend of every store, where you can say, get the asking price from here and get the bid price from there, and then compute them together, and then do times this and that and divide it and all this shit. It's a bit much.
Sounds like the redstone of BTCPay Server. You can write anything with it.
Yeah, I think we'll actually be able to write apps inside the scripting engine at this point.
But if we have a solution like that in general, might it not be an option to have a fix where we, maybe as a fallback, aggregate some of the rate providers and do an average for the rate calculation as a fallback?
Yeah, that could actually be nice.
I think the point that the majority would love to have a fallback is valid, and we should not make it complicated. So maybe there should be a fallback by default. But I also get the point that some people maybe want to choose a higher rate provider or with more spread or something like that.
And one thing
So
that I
it
just
should be configurable.
thought about as well is that not every rate provider has every currency. So we just did the conference in Senegal, and their currency is not listed in CoinGecko. And they only can use BitPay. So it makes it already a little bit trickier to give a standard in the background that always picks it up, but at least that we think about a way of solving this, because it's a really returning problem. And it's quite annoying.
And also what is really problematic, I think, is that we always set CoinGecko as default. So as soon as CoinGecko has a problem, a lot of users have a problem.
Yeah,
so
I mean,
maybe we can randomize that one. So we pick between CoinGecko and how is the
But
other
it's
one?
also tricky because we used CoinGecko. Like CoinGecko wasn't really something we were like, oh, these guys are amazing, we need to use them for everyone. No, it was we were using what was the other one called? Coin Average.
Market Cap or Coin
No,
Average.
we had coinaverage.io or something before, and that was basically set for everyone as the default. And then at some point they said, okay, fuck it, we're going to charge people for this. And they just killed the API for everyone. So we had to do a quick fix where we just switched it to CoinGecko, and CoinGecko was the only one that basically had like a huge area of FX rates for everything. So we just put it as default there. And it's like, okay, we can randomize it for users, but what if somebody is using, like, even switching to BTC USD can be tricky for some people because it doesn't always load if you switch to a specific rate provider. How can we make it easy enough for them to do that?
So maybe in the setup we need to ask for their fiat currency.
We do have a default currency, but then we have to.
But this is configurable only after you come to the rate provider step, right?
I'm not sure, Dennis. Do you know if the rate provider option is on the same page as the default currency option?
It might be.
I'm also not
I'd
sure
have to check.
if we even show the rate provider in the. But in
If
the
you create a
three-step
new
setup
store,
stuff,
if you create a new store, you get to set your default currency in your preferred price source. So you do that in the same step.
okay.
What if we? Oh, but then it gets a bit messy. Like I was thinking, okay, what if we ask the user, what kind of currencies are you looking to transact in, or
Yeah, that's what I was thinking about.
Like-
I think the only good option on or how we can solve this is by polling 3 to 5 providers and then building an average, because liquidity and rates might vary quite a bit. And
but it's like, how can we do that if, like, CoinGecko is doing it for hundreds of currencies for us, right? They're already a price aggregator, I think, of different exchanges. So how do we do it so that, because we have to pre-select ourselves what's for euro, what's for USD, what's for Japanese yen, all these kind of things. Like for every single one of them, we have to pick 3 to 5. We'd
we'd have to define an index based on
Then we have to
currencies.
curate it and everything. So now we end up being in the business of building an API aggregation solution for everyone.
Then you also need to take care about outliers and so on. So could get difficult.
Yeah, what if one of the rates starts providing like a zero amount? Then the rate kind of still shows kind of okay-ish, but it will be like 30% cheaper, and most people maybe wouldn't realize straight away. I don't know.
Outlier detection logic then. And what if one takes long to respond and stuff like that? Yeah.
We should just ask the ChatGPT bot to give us the rates every time.
Code it for us.
Well,
Coded on demand.
Have a think about this one though, because it's really coming back quite a lot, and I think users would be really happy with it. Not just users, but also petszch not answering them every time like, yes, this just breaks, just try it again, and hopefully it works within the next 5 minutes or so. So please keep this one in the back of your head. I'm even gonna tag you in it, I think, Kukks.
Yeah, sure, go ahead.
To keep you on this. So
I don't know. So the suggestions so far have been, have a fallback, aggregate different sources, and I think that's it, right?
I think the fallback is the easiest one, and then we still need to have an option so that the user can opt out from it if they want to override the...
Shall I tag you in this too, Ndeet? So you guys can brainstorm a little bit more as well, and keep it on mind. Then we do have another bug, 4193. It's spammy, bro.
That's Kukks.
Yep, Kukks.
He's spamming all the logs.
Do
you have anything on this, or do you have something to say in your defense?
I was testing stuff. Oh shit. Okay. Fuck. I thought maybe Nicholas already cleaned it up, or maybe not. Okay.
Nope.
Okay. I'll clean it up.
Okay.
In before the Ellen Bank invoice watchers spamming all the logs.
From one spammer to another. All right. But you're gonna look into this one, Cooks, and
Yeah,
clean
yeah.
it.
I'll try and write it on my hand so I remember it. 4193. Okay.
Nicholas is
Then-
pissed. He's pinging already.
Huh?
In October. Fuck it.
Then I got one. I don't even know if I want to talk about this one, but I guess I'll drop it in. 4062. Yeah.
Ah, fuck it. Who cares?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Who cares? Actually, I recently took a look, but I wasn't able to solve this because I couldn't spin up the Monero node using our altcoins Docker Compose. It should be quite an easy fix, but yeah, I just couldn't bring up the service.
Yeah, I mean,
Maybe you need 32 gigabyte of RAM or something like that.
I wouldn't be surprised. It's fine. We don't care.
Yeah, that's what I thought too. I spent 15 minutes and then thought, okay, fuck it.
Yeah, I think somebody asked me like, can you please add it to the navigation list? And I'm like, okay. And I just made the link there and didn't bother with it. I just removed the actual status indicator stuff because it was too. Yeah, so it's fine. We don't care.
What do we want to do with this one? We don't care.
We don't care.
Then we're just.
Yeah, I mean, we can basically respond with
We don't
how
care.
we deal with those things in general. Leave it up to the community and let them figure it out.
Yeah, I mean, we can maybe close this. Well, we have the altcoin thing. I wish we could just exclude specific tags from ever showing up in our default pull issue list.
I can assist if
This was
someone...
added to my list that I got. So
By Pav?
Yes, it was
Yeah,
added
and
by hand.
Pav is supposed to fix it.
Yeah, Pav can fix it.
All right. Next, 3855. Greenfield API exchange rates endpoint.
Oh, okay. Oh, okay. Yeah, sure. So, yes. So that exchange endpoint was actually one of my first pull requests to BTCPay, I think. Yeah. So last version we added the rates configuration endpoint. Now we can add this one, and it should be super simple. I'll do it myself. It's fine. Okay, I'll write this on my hand as well. 3855.
Don't
Oh,
wash your hands.
Yeah, all this technology, and I'm still writing it with a pen on my hand.
I assigned you. You can wash your hands.
And then there's one that has a bunch load of question marks around it. And that's about it. No comments, no nothing, just question marks. What the fuck is this?
Perfect. 4214. Oh, no.
4214. That's 15, Dennis.
9.
4214.
Whip. Okay. Good morning. How do I withdraw my...
Right? Great.
Not just the users that are confused.
I don't actually think this is a valid comment because we recently saw a fucking lot of spam.
My God, I've been banning so many bots.
So I don't think this is a valid user concern. It's just someone spamming our repo.
It's fine. We don't need this either. We can either close it and anger the emperor, or just leave it there and ignore it in general.
Okay.
It's blocked already.
He's already blocked.
Hide it.
And then he had one more comment left, and I think it's wise to just click the link, Dennis, in chat, because this one points to the comment specifically.
No, I'm going to type it out.
Awesome. And the comment with this is, how should we do the formatting to avoid these issues?
I think we just need to tell Nico to just change his IDE. I mean, me and Dennis have aligned identing and everything, right?
I'm not sure. I recently saw some minor divergencies, but
it's tricky because I thought the editor config would cover everything we have, but it does not.
You mean the editor config file?
Yeah.
I'm not sure. I haven't looked that much into it. Yeah, maybe it's also not really worth it. And we can just run .NET format every once in a while.
Yeah.
But we tend to forget about that.
Yeah. Maybe we could. I was going to say we should just do it as part of the CI.
That's what ndeet proposed, or at least he posted a link which details how to do that.
Yeah, I have no clue for C#, but for the PHP library, we just check the formatting, and if it fails, then we just mark it in the pull request.
I mean, for most other languages, you have like the linting stuff, right? I don't know if we used to have .NET format at one point, I think. Let me see if there's a linter or something.
Yeah, I'd find it annoying to for the CI to break with if there's a space missing or something like that. It's more like we want to ensure that basically the whole project is formatted the same way, and using .NET format might be the best solution for that.
Yeah, I know that the Wasabi guys use some CI tools to bitch at you if you do some bad coding. But it's kind of different though. I don't think it's just formatting. It's kind of like if it notices some methods and classes become super complex, it kind of rates you as inferior.
Bad coder.
Yeah, actually it does. It's like you've made this class super complicated. You won't pass the CI test, so nobody will review it.
So like, something like SonarCube or so?
Huh?
Your maintainer status is in danger.
Could that be something like SonarCube, static code analysis?
Yeah, I think it's something like that. Yeah, but maybe I still think that's a bit extreme. Like it sometimes bitches at you for having 9 parameters instead of 8 or something, and it's like fuck you.
I'm going to pass a dictionary as the 8.
Exactly, just an object. Fuck it.
The Siemens managers liked it quite a lot when we had it in our CI.
Yeah, it's like it's just some Nazi tooling. I'd rather not have that. I just realized this chat is half German people, or so it's like okay.
This is streaming live to YouTube, of course.
Oh shit! I'm gonna get cancelled.
Secondary Kanye West there. What the fuck?
Okay, whatever. I think we should just be pragmatic about it, and
just chime in, Rad. You don't have to raise your hand, man. Just calm Cooks down whenever you want to.
Yes, please.
You just need to unmute. Yeah.
Press the wrong button. Sorry.
Oh, okay.
No comments for Cooks. No.
No.
Okay.
Just fun.
All right.
No comment.
Basically, we went through the issues that I had, and that we kind of had to look at and see if we can take these into the next one that we do, at least a couple. And furthermore, there is just left of maybe we want to look back at our last release a little bit and vend what you want to vend, what you think should be different or could be different. Do a little bit of going round by everybody and then wrap it up for today.
Sure, I can start. It took way too long.
It took too long. Okay.
Yeah, I agree on that, and I already talked to Pav about this in the design meeting. I think aiming for at most 8 weeks for a release would be good, and also thinking about the release candidate topic, we once brought up would be good, so that we could have a cycle where we maybe develop things for 7 weeks, feature freeze, aim to do a release candidate, have it tested, and have the last week for bug fixes, writing documentation, coming up with the blog post, etc., and ensuring what we put out there doesn't require a bug fix release the day after.
Oh, that's so fun.
It's not fun, but it makes us seem more professional.
You don't think Nicholas releasing at like 11 p.m. on a Friday night at his time and then going to bed is not professional?
I mean, it might work.
We've done this for like the past, what?
I know.
Yeah.
And it's been pretty good so far, but it's not really optimal.
No, for sure. We raised this point already quite a couple of times, right? That
Yeah.
it might be smart to, move to like the middle of the week or a Tuesday instead of a Friday, and
Yeah.
yeah,
We should do that for sure.
Yeah. Okay.
So for RC releases, I think we can do something. We have to make sure. So there's a couple of things there. So one, we have to make sure that RC releases don't show up as an updates notification in BTCPay. Two, we have to make it so that the Docker repo has some way to allow people to choose RC releases or not choose RC releases. I don't know what the best way for that would be. Three, if we do RC releases and then we realize midway through that somebody updated to it, how do we can't really revert these RC releases because of the potential database changes. We do have migration scripts that go both sides, but having said that, I don't think we've ever tested the migrate down scenario. So there's that.
But that's an issue in general, not just for RC releases. We recently had the question of someone about how to downgrade, and we disencouraged that just because of the migration part.
Yeah, migrating. It's like it's weird because every time we generate a database migration, it tells it to add a column here, create an index there, whatever, and then it also generates the inverse. It's like how to revert the migration, remove that column there, delete that table there. But if you downgrade to a version, you won't have that you won't have the migration script that takes you back in the database. So it's kind of like durr. So the only way we could make that work is if we do, for example, if we release 1.7.2 and we want to revert the migration, it's kind of weird. You can't just say I want to go back to 1.7.0 from 1.7.1 if there's a migration, because the migration script to revert that change is gone.
So you would have to run a downgrade database migration first in the new version, and then you can change the Docker container to the old version.
Yeah, we kind of need like a CLI tool, I guess, that uses the migrations without running BTCPay, because BTCPay will not be very happy if it tries to run after you did a downgrade in the migration script. It's super wacky. Like, I don't know how we would handle that very well.
But thinking, because I was connected to last week's call where this topic has been brought up. Like, shouldn't the release candidate, so basically any subsequent release to the official release, be like very, very small in scope and only directed to like critical bugs that are discovered after the official release, and in which case, how many of those critical bugs would require a solution that would make the fix not backwards compatible, right? So essentially, every release candidate after the official release, like, ideally, shouldn't contain any new features. Like the new features will come in, 1.8 and like 8 weeks.
Yeah, but the release candidates are usually for release. So let's say we just released 1.7, right? We can, after we've spent a few weeks now working on new features and whatnot, we create 1.8-RC1. That's how our release candidates work. It's basically prep, kind of like a preview of the 1.8 big release. Not meant to be a minor release to 1.7, for example, or to 1.8.
Okay.
It's just a preview version that will. It's kind of like having beta, except all our code is always beta because it's kind of just like that. They're meant to have like all the features included there, and then from RC1 to RC2, you start fixing some bugs, and then when we're happy with everything, we remove the RC tag from it, and it becomes 1.8.
I think we have to put
Right.
some thinking into the whole release candidate and database management anyhow. I mean, one user might want to start with a copy of his original database and upgrade that and keep the original one to be able to move back to the old release.
Yeah.
I don't know if that would be something we could
I don't think we can
enable.
do that. I think we can only just having users move between versions trivially like that will be too complex, I think, for at least at this point in time, because it's like the code base is too convoluted to make it work properly. I think what we could do is on the Docker repo we can have a config option include RC releases or something like that. If you turn it on, you'll get all the updates super quick like we do right now, except we don't put the Twitter announcement for RC releases. And it's like the firefighter releases are a bit more tame, right? Because it's only people that are super reckless. I don't know if you guys feel
one last thought. Maybe we could put the migration scripts in the Docker repo and have them available for the CLI tool to do the downgrading and upgrading of the database.
No go.
Okay.
Unfortunately, the migration scripts are in C# in our ORM code, so they are one-to-one with our code base. Our data models and everything are in the source codes, and scripts used. We could generate SQL based on those migration scripts, but because that's what they do when they run the migration scripts. But it's also the migration scripts in BTCPay also have a migrations table in the database, so we have to generate those as well and making sure that everything gets run properly. I mean, yeah, we could do that.
A lot of work and little effect. Yeah.
Yeah. Most likely we'll break something more important by doing that. Like we'll delete, I don't know, the invoices table by mistake or something. So I'd rather not touch database stuff too much directly. Although Nicholas has been enjoying writing direct SQL everywhere.
Because he hates entity core.
Yeah. I think at this point we all kind of hate it a little bit because it's getting quite hard to do optimal queries through it, but yeah.
Yeah, that's all the NB Explorer bugs that I'm getting from the users, right?
No, that's actually Nicholas writing raw SQL like a motherfucker.
So, anything else on just the last release on
how
it
sorry.
went, or
Yeah,
how
we
it,
completely started ranting on
Yeah,
random.
no worries, that's all good. But just to grab back to that for a bit, are there any more things that you all want to mention or want to throw out there that me and Pav should take into our considerations for coming up with the next couple of months? Because that's what we at least already talked about quite a bit as well, of well, we can structure out quite a bit, right? We kind of know what's coming, and if not, we can always, or at least we should be able to add it quickly, and that's upon our janitor task, I would say. So that's for us to be better at and slowly improve it. Luckily, Rad is also putting in his 2 cents to that, I've seen, so that's pretty cool to see. But yeah, we need your input for making it better, of course. Of what were the things that you walked into?
Well, I mean, I think like the checkout v2 release was very tight. I don't know if we should have waited another version to do that or not. I don't know if you agree with that, Dennis. I just felt like the 2 days before the release, there were still things being changed quite a lot for it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it got quite hectic all of a sudden last week. I agree.
Yeah.
Though it was a really big one.
I think the issue was that we were merging code for it while we knew that we had to do a release, and the code that was merged in it was not ready. But that happens with all the big pull requests as well. It was mostly a timing issue, I think, especially because our release was so delayed with all sorts of stuff in meetups and all
lots
these
of
things.
conferences, holidays, and all kinds of other stuff that went on for sure. Let's hope most of those don't happen anymore as they happened. A little bit more relaxed. Luckily, Riga is a long way away, so we tend to stay away from the booze for a little while, a little bit less.
Nevertheless, I think that makes it sound more negative than it was. I mean, I totally agree that the last 2 days have been very stressful, and there would be ways to prevent something like that. Nevertheless, I think the release came out very good, and all of us can be very proud of what we delivered because, I think people like it, and also the approach of shipping it as an opt-in feature worked out really good. I think that can be seen as a role model for bigger stuff we want to tackle in the future, so that we just don't redesign something completely, but offer it with a feature toggle at first if we want to gather feedback. And so in general, I think this release has been pretty good, and planning could have been better. Nevertheless, I liked what we delivered.
So the last release before this, Dennis, I remember that you kind of felt in a way of there's not much clear road that we're on right now. Did you have more of that feeling for the whole checkout thing? Did have a clear objective of, okay, we're fixing this whole thing, and at least I know what I'm working on, and I'm happy to work on this too.
Yeah, 1.6 was, or it at least to me, it felt like a lot of smaller things, but not this big main thing we wanted to ship. And with 1.7, it was clearer, more focused. It was mostly about checkout v2 and the form builder stuff, and we delivered that. So
at least we had a good focus this time, and that was good, well on point, and it made you a little happier to work on the bigger feature than all those hundreds of small ones that we made into a big release.
Yeah, let's not forget about all the small things we delivered in the 12 minor releases of 1.6. So I think that also helped a lot. Yeah.
But at least the improvement in focus was there, at least compared to 1.6. I mean, that's something that I remember from our talks back then.
Yeah.
And that's why I wanted to hear your opinion on that now as well. Thanks.
I think it also makes it easier to align everyone on one particular goal. Like, for instance, for one of the next releases, we might say, okay, this is mostly about the POS stuff, and we want to redesign that or whatever. And that also helps to stay focused and not get caught up in maybe coming up with a new feature halfway down the road.
Yeah, because in the other side of let's say in your case you worked a lot with destruct tells you, hey, let's wait, let's not do this right now, and you won't tumble down the rabbit hole too far, creating new stuff while working on it. Yeah. Cool. Anything for you,
to this
Ndeet?
point.
Go for
Sorry,
it. Go for it, Red.
Sorry to interrupt. Just a question here, maybe to that, right? Do you guys have anything in mind related to a planning session for 1.8 where we take the roadmap and the issues and kind of like try to consolidate the scope for 1.8?
Yes.
I think that would be kind of like what Dennis was alluding to, right? Have a scope and enable focus.
This is what I just said about me and Pav being the janitors and need to do our part a little bit better as well, and that we try to make better now this time around as well. So we plan ahead at least for the coming months into the new year. That's also why we don't do any big releases anymore this year.
Okay.
So we for sure are doing that, and if you would like to join that or hear or whatever, we'll get you in. Don't worry, we'll let you know when.
Yeah, please add me. That would be cool. Cheers. Thanks.
Awesome. Indeed. Anything for you, my man, on this one, on the 1.7?
So from my side, I think, even because there were bugs and so, I think it was very well handled because it was an opt-in feature, so everybody could switch back. And I think it was a good approach to introduce major new changes. So everybody could check it out, and if it did not work, like something was missing with the UI or something like that, they could switch back without any problem. So I think many issues are not that dramatic, so to speak, because everybody could still switch back to the old checkout. And on the other side, a few things I think we could have catched, like we could have tried some plugins, like the rate conversion thing with fixed float and so on. I think there was some minor bugs or something like that. Yeah, but overall, I think the approach for major new stuff is very good. To have it opt-in.
Nice, cool. And I know you were there in the Twitter space. How did you enjoy that one? I mean, you listened to almost everything.
Unfortunately, I missed it a bit. Yeah, because I was going to sleep with my daughter, so I could not participate in it. But it was very interesting how people are using it, and I think what is interesting that many people use the POS features, and also this web NFC or NFC in general with the bolt cards is very interesting. I think this is maybe it was not mentioned in the space, but I had a showcase in our local meetup with NFC, and I think the UX is really nice. So you don't have to scan, and then it's too dark with the QR code and so on. So,
it makes it click for a lot of people. The question more was did it make sense for you to listen to that space after the release and hearing those people talk about it?
For sure. I think it was very interesting.
So at least it's a good thing that we should be doing the next time as well, and maybe if we notify everybody up front, some people will be able to join us.
Yeah, sure. I will make sure that I can join and not get distracted.
And as we
but I was not. I thought, okay, there's a community call, but I was not aware that I should speak on it or take any questions or something like that. So.
Oh no, you don't have to. But if I see you and I see that you're listening, I'm gonna try to drag you up there. Of course, you understand. And talking about this one, petszch, you were there too. Just rolling right into you. Do you have anything to mention on this whole 1.7 gig?
Yeah, I thought it was quite impressive how many features we got. How great of a feature we got into it. was really happy how it turned out. I didn't feel the stress because I didn't do any of the development, and I mean, it was only a handful of bugs, like 5 or so, that came back right after the release. So, I mean, of course, we had to do the bug fix release a day after, which isn't so great for the track record, but still
You
think
helped
it was
quite a
handled.
lot though with preventing many more bugs. Your testing
some, yeah.
helped a lot of helped with a lot of issues beforehand.
You just can't think of everything that needs to be tested. I mean, the application broke in places that I didn't see coming. Have to say that. Well, it was a fun release for sure, and the Twitter space was really, really awesome. I wish we would do this more often. Hearing people and how they use the software, it's really motivating.
Cool. So you had a little bit of a motivation boost out of that as well, next to seeing a overwhelming amount of good features and stuff. But at least they didn't bug you too much for a lot of bugs, and you didn't get overwhelmed by chat requests.
Not at all.
Not at all. Well, that's a good thing for the developers then, I guess. Good job, Dennis. Kukks. Indeed. Kukks, you got anything left, or are we gonna wrap it up?
We can wrap it up. I just want to say that for 1.8, I don't know if anything on the roadmap. Usually, I kind of start working on stuff that I've had in my head for a few months back, or stuff that I didn't manage to push, and then I hook up with whatever is left on the roadmap, and I try to patch it in as well. I'm kind of focusing a lot on like on-chain stuff right now, so yeah, that's basically my end right now.
All right.
Cool.
Then I guess we're
we're
gonna
done.
wrap it up. Yeah,
Yeah.
it was a long one
Yeah.
today, but thanks. I think there's lots of good stuff in here for PAV too. Yeah, let's slowly head out this year and onto the new cool one.
Yes.
All right.
Thanks
Thank you,
everyone.
everyone.
Yeah.
And
Thanks,
Yeah.
everyone.
Thanks,
see you next
everyone.
time.
Bye.
Cheers.
Bye.
For too long, we've relied on trusted third parties to process digital payments. The world is changing, and so are your customers. As cash payments decrease, digital payments become the standard. But existing apps charge transaction fees and lack privacy. BTCPay is a Bitcoin payment platform. It gives control over your business back to you, helping people achieve financial freedom with donations, payments, and more. Help your family and onboard your friends. Use BTCPay to host multiple stores and become a payment platform of your own. While the world changes around you, stay in control of your finances. It's simple to use, censorship resistant, and completely free. This is more than a payment platform. It's transforming digital payments as fast as the world around us.